Hey, this is Ralph, and let's get to work in our first basic form styling. So what I'm going to do is I'm using this initial application form for Lyft, and this is going to be kind of my inspiration. And this is going to be a nice, easy one to start with. We're going to make this into a single column layout, and we'll try to duplicate some of the styling, but just I want to show you how simple it is to style a basic good usable form. So I'm going to move this picture off to my other screen so I can kind of glance over at it. And I got my page set up, at least the start of it, but we need to head down into the body of the page, and I'm going to create that form. Form method equals post action equals, I'll just put in the letters URL there. That's basically where the form would get submitted to if somebody submits it, but we're not worried about the back-end functioning of forms for this video, just basic styling. Now, there's different ways we can structure this, but if I'm going to go a nice column layout, especially if I want to have label text right above the actual input, I think one of the easiest ways to structure this is going to be to write a label. Within that label, let's see, we've got first name, and then I'll do a break tag, and then input type equals text. We'll just do something like that. In fact, most of these are going to be pretty darn similar. So let's see. Copy that. Last name, email, city, and referral code. And then I can just change these out to last name, email address. I'll write that out. And for this one, I'm going to change the type to email. Doesn't have a tremendous impact on what we're doing here, but still, that's more accurate. And then we've got city you'll drive in. That's text, that's cool. And last but not least, promo referral code. And they do have the word optional right there in parentheses. Excellent. Okay, and I think that pretty much takes care of the HTML. Oh, we should always do this. Input type equals submit, value equals submit. All right, so looks like our form, the HTML, anyways, has these 5 key elements, 6 if you count that submit. So I'll move that picture off to the side. Let's see how this form is looking without any styling whatsoever. There it is, pretty plain, pretty boring. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to take my code editor here. Oh, that's not my code editor. There it is, VS Code, Windows left arrow. Let's bring that over there. Browser, Windows right. Let's move this. Actually, that's probably okay. We'll just have that over there. And let's see what we can do. Let's see. I'm going to turn off word wrapping for a moment. Don't need that. And let's move up to the styling and start to style these things one by one. Okay, so I'm glancing over to the pictures on the right, and I'm going to start off by styling the labels. Now, labels by default are an inline element, so one of the first things I'm going to do is display them as block, and that's going to ensure that everything is in nice columns. It was already kind of looking that way just because of the way my page is styled. Here, I can prove that to you. Let's just maximize that. And there we go. So now they're definitely in a column look, even though they could have been side by side. All right, and let's see, display block. And I'm going to set the color of these labels to white. And let's do a font size of 0.8 ems. They look like they're a little bit smaller than other fonts, so that's cool. All right. Now, because these labels are block elements, I can do something like margin bottom of 1 em, and that will help separate them vertically. So now there's some space in between each one, so that looks pretty good. I think this is going to be much easier to appreciate if we can really visualize those boxes there. So let me go back to this. Put that over there. And so to style those, I'm going to use an attribute selector. So input square bracket, type equals text, closing square bracket, comma. Don't forget, I've also got an email type in there. Input square bracket, type equals email. Oops, closing square bracket. And let's see, I'm just kind of glancing over these. They look pretty big. I'm going to do a width of 360 pixels. Let's pretend, 360 pixels should fit in most phones if we were doing this for phones. And let's give them a nice big height. 60 pixels? Is that too big? Just looking over here off to the side. All right, yeah, I can handle that. That looks pretty chunky. Let's see, how about a border radius of 12 pixels? Remember, I'm styling the text boxes and the email boxes identically. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, I want to get more space in between the label text and the actual text box. I think I can do that with the label rule. Line height of 2. Yeah, just create a little bit more space over there. Now, you could be wondering, hey, can you move that label text in a little bit? I bet we can. Let's try this. What if we did something like text indent of 10 pixels? Yeah, that works. So we can use that text indent, which is like you're going to indent the first line of a paragraph. And since all of my label text is one line, obviously that one down there for optional looks weird just because of my page styling. But yeah, that's looking pretty darn good. Let's do some quick styling with that submit button, and I think we will be done. So let's see. Input, square bracket, type equals submit, closing square bracket, curly braces. It's a big chunky button. I'm going to still use a big width on here. How about, I don't know, 150 pixels? Let's do the same height as the text boxes. That'll make it look nice and consistent. And while we've got that going on, yeah, there we go. Let's get some more space above it. So margin top, 50 pixels. Now it's got a border radius. I'm looking at the picture. It's got a border radius. It makes it look like a little pillbox. So since this button is 60 pixels tall, if I do a border radius of 30 pixels, that's going to make those nice roundy edges. Border radius of 30 pixels. Cool, looking good. It looks like the width could be exaggerated a bit. 250 pixels. And let's see. Text transform, uppercase. Let me just bring that picture over so you can see what I'm looking at as I'm typing this stuff in. So all uppercase letters, font size, we'll guess, I don't know, it's 2 M's probably gonna be too big. How about 1.4 M's? We'll see how that looks. Font weight bold. And it looks like they got a little shadow effect, and it looks like the shadow is going straight down. So we'll do box shadow, 0 for the X. Let's just do 2 or 3 pixels for the Y, which will be straight down. Doesn't look like there's much blur on it, so I'll do a 2 pixels of blue and just write it purple, just so we get the essence of how that's going to look. All right, move that picture away. Yeah, there's my submit button. Button text is a little bit large, but I think I'm good with that for now. All right, and one last thing to take care of. If I type in this box, that font is too small there, so let's go ahead and make sure that my input text has a nice good font size. Is 2M too big? Nope, could probably go a little bit bigger if I wanted to, but that looks pretty darn nice. Yeah, I think I'm happy with how that's looking. Looks like they've got a little shadow on top of these too, but it's kind of weird. The submit button shadow is down below, but the shadow for the inputs is just above the top. You can do that. It's not a very good consistent design to have different elements with different shadows, but why not? Box shadow, no horizontal movement. And we're going to do -2 pixels to go upward. Make it really dense. One pixel, and then good old purple to the rescue. Yeah, I think we get the essence there. Label text could be a little bit bigger. However, I would like to point out that this was a pretty easy form to style. The HTML for it is quite simple looking. I'm using a method here where we wrap the inputs within the label, which is a nice technique because it connects the label to the input. So even though it's hard to tell here, I can click on the label text and that's going to activate that text box. So that's kind of a nice little feature. And yeah, now I'm obviously not putting in length attributes or anything like that, so there's certainly other form attributes we can put in there, but for basic styling, if your goal is to do a column of text type labels, that's a good way to go. All right, I think we will enhance this in another video, and I really do like the impact on this where we see the label here. Let me oh, that's right, it's a picture, I can't do that. I've already closed the page. However, the label text you can see takes up the middle, and then as soon as we go to enter our content in there, that label gets a little bit smaller and moves up out of the way. So I think we can handle that too. So let's catch that in the next video. Thanks.